I want to begin discussing evil in the zone of interest with this element, walls. The film uses walls and other metaphorical barriers to embed feelings of separation, ignorance, and avoidance in the viewer, in a way that produces a more visceral reaction to Auschwitz's evil than simply telling us that the Holocaust was bad.
Are we the baddies?
Walls form lines of symmetry in shot composition throughout the film, constantly cutting through scenes and organizing them aesthetically. This, while making for beautiful shots, also calls attention to the fixtures. It makes us consider their meaning. Walls separate us from others. They demarcate territory and they obscure vision into and out of a place. With a hint of violence, walls mean safety for the contained and exclusion to outsiders. Put on this train of thought, we might look for what connects these concepts to the wider plot. Here we have an example in the garden wall, nicely dividing the scene by the rule of thirds. Hedwig's action goes leftward and our eyes follow. If we follow the upper line further left, we go from tranquil domesticity to sequestered brutality. A section of barbed wire hides in the corner. The following scene elaborates on this motif, with the camp building looming over the barbed wire instead. Auschwitz constantly looms over the Haas's idyllic Aryan fantasy, its hidden horror always in the subtext of their paradise. This adds a foreboding feeling to most of the happy scenes around the house, a vague guilt. This dynamic applies to more than literal walls. Here, Rudolf and Klaus enjoy nature on horseback, while slaves are being driven to work. Tall grass obscures our view of their indignity, but we know it's happening from the barking of guards and the barest glimpses of their heads. When Hans is playing in his room, the dramatic content of the scene is an execution he witnesses through the window, but the cameras are concerned with the room's interior. In an exceedingly visual medium, directorial barriers are put between us and the action we want to see. These observations bring us to Zone's big creative decision. The evils of Auschwitz depicted in the film are done so by implication. With oblique hints and directorial barriers, it simultaneously obscures and draws attention to the atrocities that Rudolf oversees. The film isn't doing this to lessen or whitewash Nazi evil.
Ich war zu sehr damit beschäftigt, mir zu überlegen, wie ich alle im Beiser vergasen würde. Also schwierig, logistisch gesehen, wegen der hohen Decken.
It's just forcing us to infer the details. It uses the medium to depict its subject in a peculiar way, one that purposely draws attention to itself. We might take this as commentary, a meta-narrative. So, what does this meta-narrative say about evil? When we're made to overhear, glimpse, or guess at Auschwitz's evil, we're like Rudolf's children. While they see more than us, they have an immaturity that shields them from fully understanding. We're similar through an incompleteness of experience. They live and breathe the events of their time, but being so young and immersed, they're also numb to it. Look at this scene. While Hedwig proudly flaunts her home and lifestyle to her mother, Hans, wearing his Bakelite army whistle, violently hits a snare drum, a marching instrument. Klaus is playing with toy soldiers, going. The juxtaposition of Hedwig's gloating and this play violence show us exactly how her wealth was acquired. Let's corroborate with mise-en-scene. There's a painting of a train yard on the wall, the main mode of transport for importing detainees to be killed. A poster of Germany is on the other wall. If we look closely, we can see part of the word Großdeutschland, which means Greater Germany, an idea that desired all Germanic-speaking territories to be incorporated into one. This is a kind of irredentism, an idea that still complicates the world today. So we're shown that this family enjoys an ideal lifestyle at the cost of others' suffering. They frolic on blood-stained soil and till stolen land. For the kids, it's an ignorant bliss guaranteed by terrible violence. Why put the audience in this position? Far removed from the events, what can we glean from this peculiar approach to a hackneyed genre? We're supposed to relate modern evils to the Holocaust. That's usually the intent of Never Forget. Looking inward, we're like the Haas kids, happily ignorant of the atrocities that uphold our lifestyles. Safe behind various walls, we can just wash the corpse stench off, while others die horribly and anonymously off-screen. The film's opinion on this is unambiguous. The stain of evil is indelible. It cannot be washed off. Time will look back on us as it does on Rudolf Haas. Watching in 2024, I can't help but feel painful irony seeing the gleeful enjoyment of land taken through extermination, especially with how the word Holocaust is instrumentalized today.
On this Holocaust Remembrance Day, if Israel is forced to stand alone, Israel will stand alone. But we know we're not alone, because countless decent people around the world support our just cause. And I say to you, we will defeat our genocidal enemies. Never again is now.